Program 2. So program 2 is a little longer. This is actually going to be a race between characters. So and I don't care who the three characters are, so you guys can have fun with this. I mean, you can race rabbits, you can waste Halloween characters, Christmas characters, Marvel heroes. It doesn't embrace villains, it doesn't matter to me. But when you run it, this is how it's going to look. So I chose Santa, Rudolph, and the elves. And so you can see this is kind of how it starts off. And then each time, they move forward varying amounts. And the program keeps running until somebody wins. Okay, and when somebody actually reaches 100, they win. And in this case, that was Rudolph. Okay, and each time it goes through, it prints the round, and then it graphically shows you where the different characters are at. And every time you run this, there should be a different winner because, their movement is random. So how do you code this thing? All right, so I'm giving you a program structure with main and the two methods that you need. You need move character and standings. In your move character, the method signature, you are passing a reference to the character location. So for the three characters, you're going to have an integer. So I've got, an integer that I called Santa location, and I set that to 0. And I've got an integer that I have called Rudolph location, set that to 0. So what I do is I retrieve a random number, and then that random number gets passed as the movement, and the character location gets passed as a reference so that I can change their location and it'll retain the value. Okay, and so I do that for all three of them, and then I print out the standings. And the round number is something that I want to retain the value because each time we print what round it is, I want to be able to add 1 and have that value stick around. So it's a reference variable. And then this is character 1's location. So it's Santa's location. This is Rudolph's location. And this is the elf's location. Right? So I think the easiest way for you to go about coding this and understanding it is to do the methods first. So the standing method is probably the easiest one. So that is the first one that I'm going to have you code. And so here's a description of what the method does. But you could kind of see that. The printouts that you are seeing here, everything except for the elves win. Okay, so the round number, the Santa and the symbols, all through the elves and the symbols, that is coming from standings. So what this does is it displays the round number and a graphical representation of where each race participant's total score is at. So instead of just printing their score, you print symbols. And there is one symbol for each number up to 100. So a score of 5 has 5 symbols. The algorithm that I have here kind of tells you how to go about coding this. So what do you need to do for coding? Well, you're getting a round number passed. So the first thing you have to do is add 1 to it. So if you leave the name the same as what I have, you'll just do something like that. Okay, write the round number to the console. So you guys all know that's just console.writeLine. And then you're going to write the text round followed by the variable. Write character 1's name to the console. So that's going to be a console.write, not write line. And so my character's name is Santa. Now, I need to print out a star for each number in the score. So I need to do a for loop for this. And I'm passing, their location score here in C1. So that is what I'm checking for I less than C1. And then each time I'm going to increase I by 1. And all I want to do here for each number is print out a plus sign for Santa. So if Santa has a score of 5, which it looks like he did in round 1, we print out a Santa in a space. We print out the first plus sign, second, third, fourth, fifth. Now I is not less than C1, so it pops out of this loop. And then what we want to do is write a blank line to the console. Okay, and then you are going to do the same thing for character 2 and 3. Okay, but they're going to have different symbols. So you can literally copy this, paste it, change the name. And I don't care what you could do rabbits. You could say bunny 1, bunny 2, or puppy 1, puppy 2 if you wanted a puppy race. It does not matter. This is going to be character 2. And this needs to be a different symbol. So I think I did an asterisk for that one. Okay, and then you'll do the same thing for third character. And then after that, you're done. You can return back to main. So that is all you need to do in standings. Move character is a little bit more involved because you're going to be passing it the character's location, and that is a reference variable. And you're also going to be passing a random number that you retrieved. Now, the random number is going to be between 1 and 5. And so how we are going to be moving is we're going to go into a switch structure. And each number is worth a different value as far as movement goes. So how that's going to look is I've got a reference on the character's location, and I'm passing in the movement, which is the random value. So I'm going to do a switch on the movement, okay, because I know I'm going to have numbers 1 through 5. Okay, and so I'm kind of telling you here what to do for each case, right? So if it's case 1, I'm going to take the character location, and if I passed Santa, it's Santa's location. If I passed Rudolph, it's Rudolph's location. So whatever character I passed, it is their location, and I'm going to add 5. And then I'm going to break. If it's case 2, for the character location, I'm subtracting 2. And then I'm going to break. Okay, and so on. So you can see I'm telling you to add 3 for case 3, case 4, subtract 1, case 5, you're going to add 0. And then if the default is going to be, we got a little programming problem, but we're going to, because it should only be 1 through 5, but we will print out a message that the character made an illegal move, and then we'll break out of the default. And below the switch, you're just going to have a return. You don't need to return anything. So that is your move character method. So the last thing that you are going to do is your main method. And this is where you're going to have to initialize all of your values, all the variables for this program to run. You are also going to need to create a random object and retrieve random numbers for the characters. The program is going to keep running until one of the characters reaches 100. Okay, for each round, you're going to retrieve random numbers. You're going to call that move character method, and then you're going to print out the current standings. Okay, you do need to check to make sure that the character, each character is less than 100. And if that's true, you call move character. But if it's not true, then we got a winner. So, you need to write to the council that the character won. And so let's go through the algorithm here, because this kind of tells you what you need to do. I'm going to create an integer variable for character 1, set it to 0. So I did integer Santa location equals 0. Create an integer variable for character 2, set it to 0. Mine is integer Rudolph location equals 0. For 3, I've got integer elf location equals 0. All right. I did one for rounds, integer rounds equals 0. I've got a Boolean variable called winner, and I set that to false. And then I create a random object. And so you guys should remember how to do that. But it's just var rand equals new random. Okay. And then after I create that random object, I've got 3 different move variables that are integers. And I retrieve a random number between 1 and 5 and store them. So I do var rand equals new random. If I spell this right. And then I've got a move variable. Move 1 is for Santa's movement. And I'm retrieving a number between 1 and 5. So I do the same thing for move 2 and move 3. Okay, then I get into my while loop. And I'm going to stay in there while I do not have a winner. So it's while not winner. And then I need to check to make sure character 1 is less than 100. If he is, awesome, call move character, pass a reference to character 1, pass the value for move 1. If the character 1 is not less than 100, then I got a winner. So I would write, Santa is the winner, woohoo. I would set the winner variable equal to true. And then I would use continue so that it skips all of this and goes back up to check the winner, in which case it's not going to be false, and I would be done. And it's going to do kind of the same thing for character 2 and 3. So if character 1's less than 100 and we move them, and character 2 is less than 100 and we move them, character 3 is less than 100, we move them, then it makes sense to call the round results so we can get a little printout. And then at the bottom of the while loop, we set move 1 equal to our next random number. Move 2 and move 3, we retrieve random numbers for those. We go back up here and where we do the little check and repeat the same section of code. So that pretty much is what you need to do. I think you guys will have fun with this. You guys can create characters however you want. And, if you want to change up some of the values in the switch, that's fine. Does not matter to me. I just chose 1 through 5. To submit this, I want you to copy and paste your code. So you're going to go back over to that Dropbox, edit your submission, and you can go, below the first program and submit, just paste it right there. Or you can go into Notepad, paste in here, save it as program 2 or whatever you're going to call it. Okay, and then you could just drag it up. I have to refresh because it's not showing it. Make sure I put it in there. Let's refresh. All right, here it is. Let me get it so that I can see the tricky thing about dragging to the Dropbox. There it is. We put it up here and then I save. All right. So that is your second program. And this is going to be the lesson 11 Dropbox, not the lesson 10. I'm just kind of illustrating it in here because lesson 11 is not visible yet.